I think that Bellows was at least kind of right. Because I do think that the Titan is reaching out to his people. Though it's certainly not through Bellows himself. I've said since the very beginning, since the concept of Bellows being able to speak to the Titan was first introduced, that there was no way in hell he could possibly actually do that, because it just sounds like it's so obviously meant to be a parallel to like real life manipulative pastors, or like faith healers or super pastors who genuinely claim to be able to hear the voice of God. If Bellows had actually turned out to be able to hear the voice of the Titan, it would have just completely decimated this show's ability and to comment on things well. But I do feel like the Titan is definitely reaching out, and you guys are thinking, well, yeah, AJ, obviously he is, because Bellows confirmed that it felt like the Titan was keeping certain glyphs from him back before he learned magic from the Collector and therefore didn't really need glyphs anymore. Whereas we see the Titan basically gave them to Luce. So obviously he's reaching out to Luce, and that is absolutely true. That is the most obvious way in which the Titan is reaching out. And that means that the Titan, whether its consciousness only exists through like the collective ecosystem that it spawned, its consciousness does still exist in some form, which means that King might still get to meet his father in some way or another. Because I've accepted at this point that the Boiling Isles Titan is supposed to be King's father. But that's beside the point. That's entirely beside the point. It'd be a very cute scene if it happens, and I want to see it, but that's beside the point. The point is, the Titan is definitely reaching out to Luce. It is definitely attempting to usher in a new age for magic using Luce as someone that the Titan... I hesitate to use this word because I'm not a super huge fan of Chosen One narratives anymore. But he's chosen her. He's chosen her for that purpose. But I definitely think that there are other characters that he's chosen as well. In fact, even though the Coven system implemented by Bellows is faulty and manipulative and wrong, there are different kinds of magic. I think it's 9, right? There's 9 different kinds of magic. They are distinct. They have like distinct colorations and stuff. And even though it seems like that there are common spells between them, like it seems like Amity, when she has a fire spell, for example, does it using the principles of abomination magic, because it's a glowy purple instead of glowy orange or red. But they are distinct in themselves. Abomination magic is distinct from plant magic, even though both summon a thing from the ground to fight for you at its barest level. And keeping that in mind, even though that magic doesn't literally come directly from the Titan, like the glyphs do, it still does come from the Titan. Every life form on the Boiling Isles evolved from the ecosystem that grew up out of that dead Titan. That means that witches, as they exist today on the Boiling Isles, evolved from the Titan, for lack of a more accurate term. And we do know that Titans have some inborn ability to use magic, because King is able to use sound-based magic. He's able to cry and make magic things happen, and we don't know the extent of that yet. We don't know if there's more that he can do with that other than just knock things around. So isn't it at least conceivable that if the theory that I presented, it'll either be last week or a couple weeks ago at this point, I'm not sure what order I'm uploading these Owl House videos in yet, but I presented a theory that I think the Collector taught some advanced Collector version of glyph magic to the Titan. Isn't it possible that knowing that magic and also having an inborn ability to use magic of a sort himself led to creatures evolving from him that could use magic on their own, that had this inborn biological ability to do all kinds of different magic? Magic that does not draw its strength from the Titan, in the case of the glyph magic that Luce uses, or from, presumably, the Collector, in the case of the glyph magic that the Collector teaches, but instead from the internal biology of the witch themselves. And if that's the case, if this is some more highly evolved mix of magics, wouldn't it also make sense that that magic could evolve even further? And that evolution of the magic could be part of the Titan's will, just like bestowing the glyphs on Luce seems to be? Because we have seen several instances throughout the show of characters seemingly performing magical feats that go above and beyond what the normal person is typically capable of. I think Willow is by far the best example of this, since she seems to be able to call it up at will. Anytime she needs to do something really big with her plant magic, her eyes glow green, and big plant-based things happen. And back when it was just her, it really felt like the glowing eyes thing was really just to telegraph to us that, oh, this is a big magical feat, this is impressive magic. But then something happened with Gus that got me thinking that there was more to it than that. That this glowy eye thing is special. Because when Gus's eyes glow, illusions happen. Illusions that are extremely realistic, can encompass large areas, and that even the head of the illusion coven doesn't know how they're happening. This is something that the most knowledgeable illusionist, or at least the person who's supposed to be the most knowledgeable illusionist in the entire, what did Bill call it? The Corpse Kingdom or something? The Boiling Isles. The kingdom on the Boiling Isles. Gray is supposed to be the smartest illusionist in the entire land, and yet this kid is able to do naturally a thing that he doesn't understand. What I'm effectively proposing is, I think that passed down through certain lines, certain specific witches with particularly strong connections to the different types of magic have the propensity to develop this super magic, this more direct connection to the Titan itself that gives their magic this extra boost. And I know what you're saying, that's a ridiculous thing to think. 2 examples of something does not a pattern make. But we've actually seen 3. We've seen that Amity's dad is able to do the glowy eye thing too when he performs larger than usual feats of magic, like when he soloed an entire room full of abomatons. And if I'm right about it being a thing that can be passed down through families, doesn't it seem kind of coincidental that when we see Amity performing some large feats of abomination magic in that same episode, that her eyes more often than not are closed, as if the crew is hiding the fact that her eyes sometimes glow too? It's still not much. It's still not much to go on, and if this is going to have some story impact, if there is supposed to be like some, I don't know, chosen one of each type of magic, the show needs to really hurry up and start introducing the rest of them, right? But I do think it's something worth considering. After all, it's not like we don't know other characters who are linked to the other kinds of magic that aren't included in illusion, plant, and abomination. Characters who could, at some point, be revealed to have this same ability. And while I mentioned that I don't really like the chosen one trope anymore, this would be a really great way to subvert it. Having a whole bunch of chosen ones who are really just potential chosen ones because it's a family thing. Not only would that keep Luce from being the chosen one, but it would be something different. It would be taking the concept in a completely different direction than what we're used to. And it would give some of these other really cool characters more weight in the story. And you would have these characters with this innate understanding of the different kinds of magic primed and in the perfect position to start to help to rebuild society once all this stuff with Belos and the Collector is dealt with. It also gives us at least a few characters if it never expands beyond the ones we already know, it gives us at least a few characters who have the potential to be really good matches for some of the Coven heads. You know, should final battles against some of the Coven heads become a thing. Again, I know it's not much to go on yet. I'm well aware of that. But they keep drawing attention to these glowy eyes. They keep showing us these glowy eyes when witches do big things. And then having the glowy eye thing be directly connected with a thing that Gus can do that Gray doesn't understand. I just can't shake the fact that they're setting this up. That they're setting this up for some big reveal. And if there is a big reveal to come about this, since, again, even though it's less directly than the glyphs, all magic on the Boiling Isles does come from the Titan, I think that that reveal will in some way involve the Titan. Maybe even that the Titan is in some way exerting his will to restore Witch Society to something more free through these characters and their magic. But as per usual, what do you guys think of any of the ideas that I presented in this video? Do you have a different take on them? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else who you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out links to my various social medias as well as the many ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description, but either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.